funding, our European funding into projects in this space. Locate has already been cited today, and that's something that we're really proud of, owing to our involvement in it. One of the things that we've been very hands-on in doing is moving some of our own revenue funding into projects to support different elements of clean growth. So we established what I called a sector support fund, and that supported projects around clean growth in the southeast, which is about supply chain mapping predominantly. We've got a project which is called Accelerating Nature-Based Climate Solutions, which touches on carbon sequestration as well. So it's been a build-up of more and more actual tangible projects that are going to make a big difference.
That's an encouragingly long list. I mean, do you see the economy changing as the green effect takes place?
I think that's absolutely the case. You can see that businesses are changing their practices, because obviously, what's already been mentioned is the changing way in which people commute or don't commute to work anymore. The importance of sort of operating online, digitalization. So we've supported projects around digital skills, which are more and more important. And then I suppose there's also the expectation from customers that businesses actually change the way they operate and sort of step up to the plate in terms of being, doing the right things on this agenda. I think what's important from our perspective as well is that we've started to do more and more in the area. More and more of the projects that we've supported have supported clean growth. Solar powered railways is a real project that's happening in East Sussex that you'd expect to see more and more of. I think what I'd be really keen to see is government, when it sort of moves forward with funding for growth. So many of us in the room know about the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, for example. That's got to obviously support those businesses that are changing and adapting, but it also needs to make sure that the real focus of that is on clean growth rather than necessarily being on jobs and homes as it has been in the past. And that in itself will change how organisations like mine operate and how we can work with broader stakeholders as well.
You talked about homes and it's very much about creating homes, but Peter, next to you, the responsible for programmes about insulating homes. There's been a great deal of hoo-ha, obviously, with people gluing themselves to the roads about insulating homes. Do you think they've got a point?
Great question. I think everybody's probably got their own opinion, and I will keep my personal inconvenience of being stuck outside work for 4 hours on 2 separate occasions aside, but they absolutely have a point. The fact that they're trying to raise the profile on probably one of the most straightforward, achievable initiatives that could be undertaken to reduce carbon emissions in the millions of energy efficient buildings in this country has to be top priority, I feel. And as a local authority, and speaking totally as a district council perspective, we can have a real say in that. I think the LGA estimated that 60% of all climate change will be achieved through behavioural change. So raising it as part of the national agenda is really, really important. But I won't comment on how they do that because that's for somebody else.
But is it a realistic hope? I think a lot of people are scared about the costs that they might find in insulating their homes, which could be thousands of pounds. How realistic is that?
I think that is an absolutely justified concern. We've managed to deliver a number of large-scale schemes, but if we hadn't have financially supported or through grant, they just wouldn't have happened. But what we do have is a captive audience, certainly in terms of our own stock, and we're able to make difficult decisions, such as moving away from the traditional kitchen and bathroom programs and spending the money on energy efficiency and insulation works. Because not only, there's a lot of disconnect, I feel, as well, between the carbon emission target and also the fact that it's still impacting on people's lives from health inequality and a fuel poverty perspective. So the large-scale schemes are great, but also let's not forget the teams that are working in the council, the environmental promotion officers do great work and individual cases that are impacting on that target. And our mantra at Dartford certainly is that every measure helps. So if you can get the little ones, it's contributed towards a bigger target. But it is achievable, but there are lots of barriers, and we could have a whole session on what those barriers are. And any officer that deals with trying to get a grant, manage a grant, deliver a grant, even today things are going wrong in certain areas that with active bids. It's a real minefield and there is no consistency. So I guess the message is to go for it, but do not underestimate how much time, effort, and resource goes
The
into
story is that
delivery.
none of this is easy, and none of this
Absolutely.
is easy. And coming to our third panel member, Alan Turner. I mean, we know climate change is affecting how much water we have or we don't have. What effect is it having, and what can you do about it? Or what not can you do about it? What can we do about it?
Well, one of the excuse me, one of the big concerns. One of the big concerns, of course, is drought and the incidence of drought in the future. And some of the work that I'm involved in at a regional level is looking into this and developing a regional resilience plan that will prepare the whole of the southeast of England for a really extreme drought, a 1 in 500 year event. And as part of that, it will be accommodating climate change, population growth, and environmental enhancement as well.
Climate change is changing how our water. We don't necessarily get less water, do we? It changes the times and places we get it.
That's right. Yes.
And what effect does that have?
It also changes the reliability of it, and that makes a big difference too.
How do you actually ensure supply? I mean, one of the things we were speaking earlier, you spoke about trees and so on. Are there practical things you can do?
Yeah, well, there's two dimensions to it. One is reducing demand or managing demand, and the other is improving supply. And on both sides can involve a range of different measures. From one that's being talked about, which is and being considered at a regional level, is transferring water through the Grand Union Canal to the southeast, but right through to the opposite extreme, which is improving soil health, which holds more water in the soil, holds it back for dry periods, and also improves water quality, which is another problem that we face already, and we're likely to face more into the future.
You saw that map that Laura Sands produced. What did you think of that? I mean, that's scary water, isn't it?
It's shocking, yes, absolutely, yes. And that's part of the picture that shows the the low-lying areas that, but surface water flooding is another risk that we need to be prepared for. We're doing a lot of work on that as well.
Adam, in the LEP, would you seek out green projects now rather than waiting for them to come to you? And in both these cases, we heard in housing insulation and in water plans, is it possible you'd seek that out?
To be honest, I don't think we have to. The way in which we work is that we absolutely take a lead from, so in Kent and Medway's case, from the Kent and Medway Economic Partnership, and you would absolutely expect, on the basis of the kind of conversations that we're having today, that the projects that would be at the top of the list these days would be those kinds of projects. So all things being equal, moving forward, you would absolutely expect that it would be projects which positively and tangibly contribute to clean growth would be the ones that people want to back. And absolutely,
well, people is the thing. We're all in it together. I mean, how much do you find, even with the frightening prospect of spending quite a lot of money sometimes that people think they may have to do, how much do you feel that they understand and go along with the projects that you are carrying out?
I feel that it's quite a lot of buying. I think that there is a will in the community to deliver it. As I said, we've done public and private projects. Immensely difficult to do operations on properties you don't own, if I'm honest, and it's deliverable, but again, it's back to resources. But there is definitely a will. But the fact of the matter is, if you're asking somebody to contribute £8,000 towards their external wall insulation, not a lot of people have got it, and even if they've got it, they might have an ambition to spend it on something else. So it's about a constant drip of communication and understanding what the benefits are in the long term. And again, the other issue probably is around the immaturity of the supply chain as well, to get that over the line. That's a real difficulty.
Good, thank you. Good stories, all three, different stories, all part of this. Very good. A lot of talk about water, which I think then can be a cue for a break for 5 minutes. Lou's are over there if you want to have a go. And can we come back? I don't know what time is, and I can't see a clock. Can you tell me what time it is? Can we come back at 3:20, please?